Okay, we're just waiting for one panelist. And why did I have the feeling he is going to be late?
You guys talking about me?
Huh? No, no, not you. When he comes up, then you'll realize what am I talking about. How are you, son of Sparta?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. How's everyone else?
Razan, Idzi, can you hear son of Sparta?
Yeah, I
Perfectly.
can hear. We can hear everybody.
You can hear everybody. Okay, just please allow me to buzz this guy. Razan, he's your best friend.
I doubt it. My best friend is hanging out with his girlfriend today, so I doubt this.
You know who am I talking about?
I mean, I just saw the spoiler over here, so
Yeah, I see that.
think it's William.
Yep.
Ah, okay,
Oh, yeah.
nice. Yeah, awesome.
Okay, I've given him the buzz. Let's just see when he can join, and let's start our discussion. So thank you to each and every one of you, starting with Raz Reviews, very own Razan. Then we have Ahil from Itzy Reviews, and we have Son of Sparta. So, guys, summer has arrived. The super fantastic summer is over, and I just want to ask you, without going into details about each and every movie, how was your 2025 super fantastic summer?
Oh, you just said it. It was super fantastic. Pretty much. That pretty much sums it up. I mean, you had two films coming out from two different studios that really needed a good movie out there for different and similar reasons. And I think it's a good summer for everybody. And I don't see it as a one film against the other or one studio against the other. You know, they say the high tide rises all ships, moves all ships. So, any superhero movie doing well will help combat what people call, superhero movie fatigue or mediocre superhero movie fatigue or whatever you want to call it. There's been a fatigue. There's been a sort of not as much excitement as before. So it's nice to get this shot of excitement back into the fandom, I think, and I think everybody feels it. We're ready for more.
We're ready for more. Okay. Ahil, can you please share your thoughts about the summer itself?
The summer has been fantastic, as the boy who has always been obsessed with the superhero genre ever since he was a kid. This has been dreamlike for me, having the best of both worlds, in one summer. It's fantastic and super as well. We had James Gunn Superman, which delivered this hopeful, this very comic accurate Superman that we had, and obviously bringing Marvel's first family on the big screen was superly amazing. I loved it.
Okay. And Son of Sparta, you have been
Yo,
showcasing your collection. You have been showing your muscles when it comes to collectibles for Superman and the Fantastic Four. You got the
yeah.
t-shirts for all of us. So, how was your summer?
For those, since we're talking about collectibles, Hot Toys, the premium guys on the block when it comes to figurines, they've debuted their Fantastic Four figurines.
Yeah.
People can find them on sale right now at your whatever online retailers. They've got Sue Storm, the Human Torch, Reed Richards, and a huge Galactus that
Yeah.
comes with minifigures of the entire team. So
Galactus
that's a
figure
real
looks like
treat
so
for
cool.
us collectors who are out there.
Is that the HasLab Galactus you're
It's
talking
amazing,
about?
right?
It's really
Is
cool.
that the HasLab?
No. This is Hot Toys rendition. No, it's not HasLab. This is Hot Toys rendition. Well, at some point we'll see if we can pull up some pictures. But it has very limited articulation. but it also has miniature figures of the Fantastic Four fighting Galactus that can be
Amazing.
connected to him. So I'm very
So
excited about
cool.
that once we get them. But yeah, man, this summer was amazing. In recent years, we've either had Marvel or DC. It's been a rare treat to have both of them knock it out of the park, right? We had two great superhero movies come out from both these fantastic studios within 2 weeks of each other. So we saw one. We were very excited to see the other. Oh, and I see we have our guest came in, just come in.
Yeah, William is here, guys. William Ruffin.
What's up, son of Jeddah? You know what I'm saying? Raz, my
Hello.
daughter's namesake, Itzy, son of Sparta.
Oh, showing off Voltron.
Hello.
Shout out from days of long ago, from uncharted regions throughout the universe. Right? What's going on?
Man,
Peter Cullen.
Huh?
we've been waiting. We've been waiting. I was really looking forward to this live broadcast session where we would be having, die-hard superhero fans along with people like Raz and Itzy who do amazing reviews, especially about superhero movies,
Yeah.
superhero content. So finally, the gang is back together. William, I just want to ask you a question, which I have asked each and every one here. Without going into details about each and every movie, just start out by telling us how was your summer, thanks to Superman and Fantastic Four.
Man, it was a great summer, man. It was this is a really good summer. What what I hope that people get out of this, right, is that these things are in a sense soft reboots. They're starting over. And so what's going to happen is that, whenever something has come out previously, it already has momentum, right? So
Right.
every time you reboot the character, it becomes a new character. So you're starting from scratch, right? So when people get into the arguments about box office and this, that, and the third, that's only because you're technically getting a new character, right? So let's
Right.
say, for example, when you look at this Superman film, it made what it made, but I guarantee you that Supergirl film is going to make a lot of money, right? Because
Yeah.
now this new cinematic universe has momentum behind it, right?
Yeah.
Again, same thing, like I said, same thing with the Fantastic Four. And it's like I told you guys, you have to look at all of this stuff like it's a different run. Like we've all been reading comic books all my life, all our lives, right? So are you a Straczynski fan? Are you a Jim Lee fan? Are you a Johns fan? You know what I'm saying? Are you a Smallville guy? Are you a Lois and Clark guy? And so what happens is that artistically, a lot of us have to make room for spectrums of opinions and perspectives, right? And so what I really appreciate about James Gunn and what he did, because there will be a lot of people who will say, well, if he's the CEO of DC, why would he direct Superman? And the reason why I appreciate what he did was because my previous arguments in the past was that the fan base was telling the business that the executives knew better than the artists, right?
Mhm.
So that was
Mhm.
my defense of my Lord and Savior in the past, because I'm afraid of. So, for example, William has a degree in finance. William will soon be a master of AI and blockchain and AI and machine learning, right? Do
Right.
you want to walk into a studio one day and I'll tell you about business and algorithms? At that point, it's not art, right? It's not art. I'm shutting. I'm I am taking people's creativity and molding it into consumerism. So for me, I'm so happy. If I could ever meet James Gunn, I'm so happy that despite the fact that he's a co-CEO, that he still decided to direct, because for me, in any of this, in any incarnation of it, I want to see the artist at the forefront and not an executive.
William, I would like you to hold you here because you mentioned a very important word, and for that I need to put a question to Razan and Ahil. So, guys, William said the B word, which is box office.
Mhm.
Now, these two movies have been released at a different time where we have seen we now have Warner Brothers having their own streaming service. Disney slash Marvel have their own streaming service. So when we are talking about the box office numbers of these two movies, there is a lot of talk about these two movies not basically giving out the numbers like their predecessors. So what would you say to these? I'll start with Razan and then Ahil.
Well, I'll say several things. First of all, that these movies did not need to be massive box office hits in the first place, because like William pointed out, and he's 100% correct, these are restarts. Okay, they don't have the momentum of being a sequel of something else, even though they're part of the, like, one of them is restarting the universe. Even Fantastic Four, even though they're part of the MCU, which is long established, but they are kind of reinvigorating the MCU and starting us on a new path away from the old path. And they don't have that kind of momentum behind them, and it's the first Fantastic Four film, so it's not a sequel of a previous one or anything. We haven't seen these characters before. These films didn't need to make big money, they needed to be good. That was more important, because we had films that made big money, but they were not successful with critics, or they were not successful with the audience. And even though they make money, they hurt the films that come after them. The box office draw starts to decline because the appetite for it kind of becomes sour. So this needed to be a palate cleanser. It needed people to have a taste of something good, and then it will make, like he said, the next films are going to be, I bet you, I'll put money, all the films are going to come after are going to have a higher box office. Now, like, if we go back to like Iron Man didn't make the money that Infinity War did, and it didn't
Right,
need to. It needed to
right,
be good. It needed to be good enough to pump life into what comes after it. That's what it needed to do. The other thing we need to understand, and this comes from a production background, not from a fan background, is that box office now is not box office 2015 and is not box office 10. There's a very shift in the attendance of theaters in the first place, okay, where cinema going has declined tremendously from COVID onwards,
right,
uh, because of many reasons. You have the inflation and higher prices of cinema going for people with families who are the target audience of superhero movies. But if I'm a father and I have 3 kids, I'd rather show them the movie on Disney Plus at home rather than take them to cinema, because it's going to cost me too much. So there's that. There's also the advent of streaming and releasing the film so soon. For example, Superman specifically is out now, right? It's coming out now
Yeah, yeah.
on streaming. It's already available in digital right now, while it's still in the cinema.
right,
So for many people who aren't hardcore fans like us, to them they're like, yeah, I'll just watch it on digital. Like my husband did not go to watch Superman when it was Zack Snyder's films. He went and watched everyone in the cinema, because back then the streaming option was like, I have to wait 6 months to watch it. You know what I mean?
right,
Not
right,
one or two, So that's also a big part of it. So generally, cinema going and box office returns are already lower than before, no matter what the film. So we also have to keep that in mind. So it's not really the measurement. I think the measurement is just a general audience reaction and critical reaction. Both can agree or disagree, but they're both essential. And then over time, you have to see what kind of effect these have on the rest of it. The only thing that's really interesting, box office wise, though, is interesting to point out when it comes to this, is that for the first time in a long time, we have a DC film have a higher box office number than a Marvel film. That hasn't
right.
happened in, I don't know how long, but quite some time.
Since the
Maybe a
Dark
decade.
Knight.
I don't know. Maybe, yes. That's even more. Is that a decade? Dark Knight was
Yeah,
2014, something.
2008.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
than a decade. Yeah.
Even more. No, let's not mention it. Let's not remember how far
Yeah.
along I was. It's been a long time. So I think that does the number itself, how much the films are making, is not important. What's important is they are number one. They are the most viewed in the cinema. Whilst when we were getting some bombs, these films were not even in the top three, their third week, their fourth week. They would get taken over by other films. So this is also a success to look out for. But we can't look at box office the same way we did 10 years ago. We can't look at it with the same measuring stick, if you know what I mean.
Understood.
Yeah.
Ahil, can
Brother
you
Jetta,
yeah, William.
I'm sorry. I just got one caveat to what Raz said. right? So after I saw Superman, everybody came to me specifically and said, "So William, what did you think?" And you know what I did?
Yeah.
I said, "I'll answer your question with the question." I turned to an 11-year-old boy and said, "What did you think?" He said, "I loved it." And I said, "That's all that matters."
Good one. Good one.
Yeah.
Ahil, Ahil.
No, so from a box office standpoint, it cleared, I think, 600 million worldwide, which might not be Avengers level, but it's essentially for a franchise that's trying to reset its universe. I see that as an empathetic win. It's critically, it's
100%.
holding very strong too. And the most important part was it gave audiences confidence in the DCU again. Like we believe in James Gunn's vision, and we know that he's not gonna miss because he's James Gunn. He has never missed. And we also need to look at the fact that we're living in the post-pandemic era, because films pre-pandemic, such as Aquaman,
Right.
almost putting a superhero in the movie was essentially like a cheat code to hitting $1 billion. We had Aquaman that hit $1 billion, and if you compare Aquaman to any movie in the current era, even Thunderbolts, it's a very good movie. But essentially, I don't think so superhero fatigue is the cause of all of it, but the fact that the modern post-pandemic era is very different. But the foundation of it is something way bigger, and knowing Gun, this is going to be something very huge, and that's what interests me the most.
Amazing. Son of Sparta, before I go to William, I want to ask you because you represent you and I and William. We represent the fandom. Okay, we are not the cinephiles like Raz and Ahil, who themselves are superhero fans, who are part of the superhero
Yeah.
fandom. But there is one additional attribute that they have, which is the fact that they are cinephiles. As collectors, as
Yeah.
fans, as, both of us growing up, all three of us growing up collecting action figures and all, and the comics and everything. Uh, how are you feeling when you're coming across any news, whether positive or negative, about the box office numbers for both movies?
And well, first of all, like our colleague said, we can't pay too much attention to what the Snyder bots are saying, because you go online and you hear so many things about how this does not compare to the Snyderverse that was much more successful. Let's look at the last 4 or 5 DCEU, or I guess it was called, right, the extended universe.
DCE,
Yes.
None
the
of those
extended universe.
movies break. Yep, none of those movies broke 4 to 500 million, which is Black Adam, Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2. Those were they all underperformed. People had lost hope in the entire universe. So they needed to do something. They couldn't keep it on, and there was a bit of a power struggle going on. If you guys, I'm always interested in hearing about the ins and outs and what goes on in the studio. So from what I heard, Walter Hamada, who was the president of WB at the time, he had rushed Justice League to get it out in time for his annual bonus. That was the only way he was going to get his bonus, even though they were told it was not ready. You need to do some reshoots. Joss Whedon says we're not ready. He took over after Zack Snyder had a death in the family. So lots of stuff came into play. The studio was not hearing it. All they care about was money. So, and which is the case for a lot of companies, right? Companies need to make money. They're an entity whose sole purpose is to make money. But versus now, from what we've been told, they're an entity. Yes, they need to make money to keep making more projects, but at the same time, they care about the fans, right? James Gunn is a comic book fan. He has proved this to us with so many successful movies. So we were excited to get these movies from him. He wrote it, he directed it. He had Peter Safran as co-president, handling the business side of things. So everything positive. They could do no wrong. I mean, wrong could happen, right? We're human and we all make mistakes. But everything was going smoothly from what we heard. We were very excited to see this movie, and they delivered. And it can only go uphill from there, right? It was positively received by fans, by critics. We went out and we had a good time. As soon as it came out on digital, I bought it. I saw it again. One thing to note when we talk about the streaming services, Disney Plus, yes, it is available internationally, so that's on the Marvel side. there is no international service for DC. They have HBO Max, right? There's no
Yeah.
international service for DC yet. It's not available. Either you have a VPN, there are ways around it, but it's not accessible for most people. Also, when we talk about William, you were talking about the 11-year-old kid. So we had a problem in the Middle East. We found out this a little later, and not that I'm complaining. Something we just found out
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
here,
We heard.
particularly in Saudi, the movie does not permit people below 15 years to go see this movie, the Superman movie.
Wait,
It's
what?
R15.
We were shocked. We were surprised.
No, I'm in the
Yep,
UAE.
R15.
I'm in the UAE.
Oh,
They'll put
oh,
kids
how,
everywhere.
oh, what's going on there?
Was it
I'm-
R15 in the UAE?
Huh?
No.
Yeah, the kids in the UAE saw it. Yeah.
No, it was not. It's not PG-15. No.
No.
Yeah, but in Saudi Arabia, it was
Like-
R15.
So
Wow.
That's
Yep,
weird.
we had an R15 rating. I went to a second viewing with some relatives who had kids. They were not allowed in, so we all just decided we're not. I guess we're not going to go and see it, which was very unfortunate. We were very bummed out. We talked to people. They said, "No, this is it's a strict ruling. We'll get in trouble if we let you guys in." So, as I understand it, kids were not allowed to see this movie. And if you can't let your kids see a movie starring a superhero in red underwear, I don't know what you're going to let your kids go see.
yeah.
So,
That is very
I mean, yes, there's violence. I can't imagine what was the issue. There's violence, but so does every other superhero movie,
You know, I bet you those
to a
same
mild
kids
degree.
I bet you those same kids that couldn't get in to see Superman are in the theaters right now watching Weapon.
exactly.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I would understand for like darker or heavier themed superhero movies like the Batman, for example. I can get that, but that's
Sure.
strange. I did
You know,
not know
Fantastic
that.
Four is rated PG in this region. It's not
Yes.
even PG-13. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
it's PG. Yeah.
But even Fantastic Four, for example, in
So-
Saudi Arabia, they have a bit of a stricter code when it comes to the Ministry of Media. And one thing that really just comes to my mind is that even though the movie was censored when it came to the romantic scenes between Clark and Lois, but obviously there is this earlier scene at the start of the movie where they are having this romantic conversation. So that was a little bit steamy, and that's why I think that got it an R15 rating over here. But yes,
Do you
let's
think? Do you
the-
think that's it? They said they they cut out the kiss at the end, but they said if we cut out too much, then we'll just have to raise the rating to allow that kiss because it's integral to the story, something like that. I feel.
No, I think even in India, the kiss at the end was completely censored out. Which
But
I
that
don't
was-
really
Yeah,
get
I
it
heard about
because,
that.
you know, they didn't censor Oppenheimer, so this is like completely something out of the blue.
Again, yeah.
okay, William, you have you want to chime in on this one?
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is, like, when you get into superhero fatigue, right? The fatigue is not really in the film. It's really with us hardcore fans, right? The guys back and forth on the internet, you know, and everything else. And so, again, it's back to my original point. When you get to these films, you're talking about narratives, you're talking about runs, and everybody's going to connect with a different narrative and run. So years ago, Roseanne and I had a conversation, and she said, William, think about it. You have a certain life experience that allows you to connect with this. So a lot of people are not going to see what you see. So like again, for BVS, Batman v Superman, right? I grew up in East New York, Brooklyn, at the height of the crack epidemic, the war on drugs, so to speak, right? So when the Waynes get shot, I could take you to a bunch of alleys that look just like that, right? So there's a certain life experience. Now, when it comes to Warner Brothers itself, it's not that anything was wrong with the Snyderverse. Warner Brothers itself has a horrible track record of these types of IPs and maintaining them. Son of Jeddah, you and I had a conversation when I lived in Quain, and what did I say? I said, I hope they treat James Gunn better than they treated Donner, Then they treated Tim Burton.
Yes.
George Miller was
Yes.
supposed to make Justice League immortal, right? And then there was a writer's strike, and then Warner Brothers came back and said, "Who wants to see a superhero team up anyway?" Right?
Yeah.
And so, and then they did it to Zack Snyder, they did it to David Ayer, and all the people that are there. And so, for me, what I hope that Warner Brother does with James Gunn is commit to a dang vision and let it play out. Like, so if they would have let Donner play out, I'm certain they would have been happy with the end result. If they would have let Burton play out, I don't know, right? But but if they, if you let this stuff play out, you'll get it. Because it's just like what Raz said. Iron Man made $5 on its way out, and then you walk out of Infinity War, which at least the first installment, Raz and I and Neo sat next to each other, and we were in such shock.
We were weeping.
We couldn't even talk. But
we were just weeping.
But so you went from making $2 off your first Iron Man film to $2 billion by the time you get to Infinity War. So for Warner Brothers, I don't know what's going on there, if they're weak in the knees or just whatever.
That's the thing. That's the thing. If I may interject, William, is exactly what you said earlier. That's the difference between a creative or an artist, if you want to call it, and an executive. Executives are always short-sighted in any business. In any business, whether it's the show business or any business you want, executives, because all they see and think about is ROI, and ROI means short term by nature, right? How is this gonna make me money, now, right? Even they don't understand, they're short-sighted. That's the thing. They don't see the long-term effect. They don't see down the line. But filmmakers and creatives and artists, their whole life is to be dreamers, is to be imaginative. We can imagine what will happen down the line. So all you have to do as an executive is trust that imagination. Because if you had imagination, you'd be the filmmaker. You're not, you're a calculator. So just sit and wait. And that's what needed to happen with, and all different DC iterations have had the same problem, is that the power in Warner Brothers has always been with the executives because it's that kind of conglomerate. The only reason that the MCU managed to do what it did, whether you think of it now, whatever you think of it now, it's a behemoth up until Infinity Endgame, Avengers Endgame. What happened is that you had somebody called Kevin Feige he's not a filmmaker, but he is a creative. All right. He's a creative producer, and he had vision, and Marvel and Disney gave him the leeway to have that vision. What it seems like right now, hopefully, is that James Gunn is being given that wheelhouse, being told he clearly has a vision. And anytime you hear him talk, this is not somebody who's like, oh, well, this happened, so because of that, we're going to do this. It's not like that. No, he has an idea and he's going to try and run with it. That's what gives me hope, And that's why, it feels like the cool thing about Superman is not that it was a nice movie, which it was, is that it felt like a beginning of something. It really felt like that. And that makes you go like, wow, I want to see what's next.
If I can interject?
Yes, please.
Raz, if I can add something, and with all the great stuff you said about Kevin Feige, look at what happened when they took away his power, right? When the whole thing happened, and I can't remember what the name of the gentleman. Phase 5 happened, right?
Hold on. There's Bob Chapek. When Bob Chapek came in and took the power away from Kevin Feige, and we had She-Hulk. The end.
Yeah. But I liked it though. I like Madeline with the eye at the end, but it's not what you think.
No, William. No.
Come on, William. Hear us, man.
But
guys, guys, sorry.
Another podcast.
I need to ask you guys a question, because there's a lot of interesting stuff that all of the panelists have mentioned. First thing is, are we witnessing a change in the way content is being consumed? Because okay, and the other bit is, are we seeing a change within Warner Brothers, that the executives are not in charge like they used to be? And lastly, I'm coming across a lot of chatter, which is basically painting Kevin Feige in bad light by saying that it's basically not Kevin Feige, it's Luis D. Esposito, who is a ROI executive guy, and he is the reason why Marvel has not been seeing the success since Deadpool and Wolverine.
Can,
So, please, William, can you start out?
I'll start out. So I'll start with your last question, right? And remember, you and I had this conversation.
Right,
Marvel ultimately is something that collapsed under its own weight, right? And so when you look at Disney, Disney started acquiring all of these IPs. And if you know anything about Disney, Disney is a brand conscious studio. And so now I'm acquiring IPs that don't exactly line up with my branding strategy. And when I
right,
acquire these IPs, I'm bringing in fan bases who don't care about said strategies, right?
right,
And so when Disney owned all of the Marvel IPs, when they took everything from Fox and everything from wherever else they took it from, that is now a heavy load because think about it now with just the Avengers, you can manage that, but the Avengers on top of X-Men, on top of the Fantastic Four, you know what I'm saying, on top of the Midnight Suns and everything else. If I was in Disney's shoes, I would have gone dark for 10 years, right? I would have, and I would have come back with Sony, Netflix, Paramount, and whoever else in tow and said, we have come together and we are now Universe 616, right? And
but
so,
I wanna interject and ask you the question. I will repeat my question.
yeah,
Is Kevin Feige getting the flack? Is it justified because
no,
Luis
it's
D.
not. That's
Esposito
what I'm trying to
No.
say. It's not
is the
justified.
ROI guy who is like, who has put him on the side and he is like
Yes,
calling all the
correct.
shots?
That's not the
Yes,
case, but that's not what's happening now.
that's
That's
not,
what
Right,
happened exactly. So there was Bob Iger retired. Okay,
right,
he retired and then put Bob Chapek after him. That's the CEO of Disney. Okay, Bob Chapek came in, removed all the creatives. Okay, this is when things really went to hell. All right, he removed all the, and it affected everybody, not just Disney, affected not just Marvel. Star Wars is already suffering.
yeah.
That's a dying horse
Banning
anyway.
Kathleen
But
yeah,
Kennedy.
let's not get there. But also
Yeah.
Pixar really suffered. So what
Yes,
happened
yes,
is that Bob Chapek removed the power of the creatives and he put his executive buddies, banker buddies in charge, right?
yep,
right,
Including the ROI guy. And he removed the power away from Kevin Feige. And their objective or their plan, all right, as executives was A, flood the market, B, okay, divert all possible attention to Disney Plus because he was launching Disney Plus.
correct.
right,
And
Okay,
it was COVID,
it was
correct.
literally the launch of Disney Plus, and he's like,
Yep,
we need to reach, and they still till now they haven't reached the Netflix levels. Netflix are
right,
300 million, they're at like 200 something, so they're still
right,
below. But anyway, so he was like, everything he was doing was to get people to Disney Plus. So he applied this to Marvel and to Pixar, and you had casualties on these sides. In terms of Marvel, you had a casualty of content because there was an overflooding of content of we
right,
need to make 3 series, 2 movies in 6 months. Ago, there's no time for creative story development. This is from screenwriting point of view. I can write a script in a month. I can do that. It's gonna be trash though, because script writing is not script writing. It's rewriting. It's drafts and drafts and drafts and
right,
drafts, right?
right,
So
right.
there's no time to do that. So and then they flooded the market. Then you got your secret wars, secret
Invasion.
invasion. You got She-Hulk. Don't say anything, William. Then you got your and yeah, and all of this was still fun. So it was over. That's number one. The number two thing they did is in the Pixar sense is that they did date and day release, meaning they created these beautiful Pixar films, Red, Seeing Red, I don't like that phase, right?
Right.
Films,
Black
the
Widow.
one with yeah,
Yeah.
Black
Black
Widow,
Widow.
yes, Black Widow, and the film with the pianist who passes away.
Soul.
Help me.
Soul,
Soul.
that was a
Yes,
good one.
Saul. Oh, nominated film that nobody saw because they released it immediately on Disney Plus. And again, especially for Pixar and Marvel, this is a family-oriented films where a father or a parent would have to pay for an entire family to go to the cinema, and you're telling them have to. You can just pay 17.99 a month and you get all this stuff with your kids for free. Why would he make the choice to go to the cinema in the first place? And he they killed all these films in terms of financial success, and Disney lost money. And the board voted this guy out because he lost the money with his ridiculous strategy. He pissed off Kevin Feige and pissed off the Pixar people and everybody. It went to hell. Then Bob Iger, after this drama came back, Bob Iger, he was retired. He came back and
Yeah.
he undid all of this madness, gave Kevin Feige the reins again, and now we're seeing sort of this new direction that's happening. Is that as a result of that? So this is a sort of
Okay.
behind the scenes situation.
Okay, Ahil introduces himself as a lifelong Marvel fan and plus as a cinephile. Ahil, I'd love to hear, we all would like to hear your input. I mean, do you sense a change at Marvel for the worse, which I had asked in my question?
Of course, man. I feel like we no longer have, the phase one entries that we used to have, which is a very solidific take on a superhero, like a very entry beginning. Somewhat we saw was the Fantastic Four, is which Marvel finally learned how they can make a phase one movie again. But I feel like when James Gunn initially announced the Superman, there was a lot of skepticism. We're talking about abandoning a whole existing universe and to start off with scratch. And we'd already seen countless iterations before, from Henry Cavill's very gritty, grounded, dark take to Christopher Reeve's, uplifting, hopeful Superman. And then audiences were really wondering that do we really need another reboot? But what James Gunn did was nothing short of exceptional. His transformation didn't just rehash the origin story; it sort of transformed and reframed it for 2025. And both the actors, David Cornswet, Nicholas Holt was the highlight of the film, according to my standards. And even Rachel Brosnan's Lois Lane, he gave her a new character because this was the best portrayal of Lois Lane we have ever seen in the history of
I
cinema. It
agree.
it it gave her side quests, from driving spaceships to writing articles and stuff like that. And the whole shift we've seen in the genre is the years of darker is better storytelling have moved on. And so from the initial, we have had, ever since the Dark Knight, the whole studios and movies have been gone into this one darker is better storytelling. We've had the Amazing Spider-Man 1, which was the very grounded take of Peter Parker. We've had the X-Men movies. We've had
Right.
the 2015 version of Fantastic Four, which we should not talk about. But it's really
Ahil?
Comic book
Yeah.
movie should really feel like, and that's what's really been happening with the current comic book movies, which I really enjoy. We have had Fantastic Four, which looks something ripped straight out of a Jack Kirby comic book, and it's just amazing to see.
Okay. Jamil, what do you have to say? William, man, you keep showing amazing stuff. That's signed by Peter Cullen.
Again, so we're talking about creatives, right?
Yeah.
Again, right? Raz, her sole duty in life is to take me to Michael Bay films. So
Man,
Michael Bay will be returning to Transformers, and Raz is going to take me
no.
to the next.
Okay, we're drifting away from
Yes,
the topic.
yes.
Son of Sparta, what do you have
Yo,
about the questions I have asked about the
well,
changes that are happening?
here's the thing, man. If we look at the new iteration, the Phase Five, as I guess we've called it, right?
Yeah,
What are the only successful movies that Marvel has had? They've had Spider-Man: No Way Home, and we've had Deadpool and Wolverine. That's it.
that's it.
But
Yes.
before then, it used to be $1 billion film after another $1 billion film. That was the formula with Marvel. And then after that, we were like, I wonder if it's going to be good. Maybe it's going to be good. Maybe we'll go see it. People are now debating whether they should go see a Marvel movie. It wasn't like that for 10 years, right?
Yeah, but
So
as and
I'm glad to see that DC finally has.
sorry,
What was that?
my apologies, Son of Sparta. As Raz has pointed out, I mean, we
Mm,
are in a different time now when it comes to media
mm.
consumption. William has also attested to it.
Yep.
Ahil has also
Yep.
attested to it. So, what do you have to say,
Yep.
keeping that into consideration?
Oh, about the current state of things.
Yeah,
So I think we're on the right track. I think they finally Kevin Feige has his power back. I think they finally have a plan. They've talked about what we're going to be seeing moving forward. They haven't made clear what, it used to be that they would unveil their 10-year plan, right? We're going to get this, this, and that. We don't, for the first time in a long time, we don't have that uh, big announcement, right? They said
Right.
we're going to get the new Spider-Man Brand New Day. We're going to get Doomsday. We're going to get Secret Wars. We don't have anything beyond that. And I know that there is a plan somewhere, and they will announce it when they're ready.
Right.
But this is the thing: for the farthest time, we didn't know what was going on. Now they're telling us no, there is a plan. There's been talk about a soft reboot after Secret Wars. We'll see if that pans out or not. Just rumors until now. But as it is, we know they have a plan. We know DC, for the first time ever, they have a 10-year plan. They have planned out. James Gunn has told us he has planned out the next 10 years.
Right.
And he's got something. He's written a sequel for the Superman movie, whatever it's going to be called. Whether he means Supergirl, whether he means something else, he's deemed it the Superman saga. He's talked about the Authority. He's talked about possibly revealing casting for Batman. Lots of stuff is in the pipeline. So we're hoping he'll unveil whatever it is in the coming months. We didn't get anything at Comic Con. Well, I was really hoping at San Diego Comic Con he'd talk to us about stuff, but instead we got I think a Peacemaker panel, and that was pretty much it. But from what we've been told, um, this is going to be a direct sequel. The Peacemaker show is going to be a direct sequel to Superman, and it will lay
Can't
some
wait for it.
guidelines of things to come.
Son
And
of
that there's gonna
Sparta,
be
I
a
want
big,
to.
big cameo also. There's gonna be. He said there's a big cameo in
Wow.
Peacemaker. Big
Do you
cameo,
think it's
whatever that
Superman?
means.
I think
Nice.
it's like most people are expecting Superman himself.
Maybe it's Lobo.
Oh,
I don't know.
oh yeah, that could be
Maybe it's
interesting.
Batman.
I want to
Or
see a new
Batman.
No way. There's
face.
no way
I
because
want it to be Batman so bad.
oh my
Okay,
god, I don't think so.
Son
I
of
don't think so.
Sparta, I want to ask. I want to start out with you with this question. I want to simplify it. Before I had thrown
Yep.
away three questions to each and every panelist. I'm not now. I'm gonna
Yep.
simplify, and I need a shortest answer
Yep.
possible from every panelist because I want to move on to the most sensitive topic that's following this particular
Yep.
segment. Do you believe, as a superhero fan, Son of Sparta, that superhero
Yep.
cinema is in a better position than what we saw in the JPEG era? Forget JPEG era.
Oh, well, 1,000%.
I mean, are we in a better superhero cinema? Is it in a better spot than before?
1,000%. The simplest thing I can tell you is that before the policy, and I will quote people who were in the industry who have been saying, what we during the JPEG era, what we mattered to us the most is quantity over quality.
Right.
That is done. We are no longer going to be doing that. We prioritize quality right now. We don't want to have a million things come out in one year. They have said we have a limited amount of shows. We have a limited amount of movies that are going to be of standard quality that we have had the fans been used to for the years to come. So hearing that, my mind's at ease. I'm at rest. I've rest assured that this is what we've come to expect from Marvel and DC. The head himself, James Gunn, has studied under Kevin Feige and all those guys over at Marvel. He knows what he's doing. So I feel like everyone is in agreement. We need quality. We need the best quality movies. We need the best writing. We need the best production. We need the best cast, and I think they're going to start doing that from now on.
Okay, Ahil, same question to you. Is superhero cinema, because you're a cinephile like Razan, is superhero cinema in a better position than before?
I feel that we're slowly heading towards the golden age of comic book cinema, but ultimately the lesson here is that superhero films are still culturally powerful, but
Mhm.
only when they're executed with clarity of vision. Take Superman for example. It succeeded because it was very self-contained and emotionally engaging. They're not linking it to anything. You don't have to do any homework to watch it. And First Steps succeeded because it embraced family dynamics at its core. It's not trying to be another Avengers level movie, and
Right.
the whole superhero fatigue thing is really more about quality control. People don't want 10 forgettable superhero films a year. They want two or
Mm-hmm.
three that really matter. And this summer proved that if you deliver those, there's still an enormous appetite for capes and superhero cosmic storytelling.
100%.
Razan, same question to you before I go to William.
Yes, I completely agree. And again, anything in life is always quality over quantity. It's just you can't overflood things. And there is, I mean, if you just compare 2 years from now, the amount of content that was coming out from Marvel, for example, on streaming and in the cinema versus now, this is a dramatic and drastic decrease, and it's very important that that is successful, and again, how do we measure success? It's not like those films made more than Fantastic Four. They didn't. They made around the same amount. But like we said, it's the effect that's going to be happening moving forward with the films that come after this. Like, for example, we mentioned briefly before Fantastic Four and before Superman. We mentioned New Avengers. What are they called?
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts. Yeah, now it's New Avengers now. But anyway, we
Thunderbolts.
mentioned Thunderbolts, right? So Thunderbolts did not do well in the box office, and that's because it is literally a result of characters that came out of series and shows that were being done during the Bob Chapek era and the Disney Plus era, which people didn't like and didn't watch. Now, and that's why people didn't go see it. But came out, and what happened? The reaction to it was very positive. People liked it, critics like it, and whoever saw it was happy with it, right? And that, to me, is also what helped um, Fantastic Four do well, and what helped even Superman do well. Even though that film particularly did not do that much in the box office, the word of mouth and the satisfaction and the positive reaction and engagement from the audience and from the fan base helped move the needle towards the other films. So when those films came out, there's a positive vibe around superhero movies, right? That's what I mean, that the movie doesn't need to make money, it needs to be good, and then latter films will make money in retrospect. Like I said, a high tide raises all ships, and that's what
Right.
happened. So even though Thunderbolts, we're not talking about it in the conversation of good performing in terms of the box office, it was well performing in terms of critics. And I
As a
think
movie, yeah.
also, there's also, I think, maybe if we take a step back away from films and box office and superheroes, also, I think culturally, as a society, as a community, we also needed films that meant something, because there's those that the over the sort of corporation tactic of superhero movies, when they were sort of, it felt like they were taken on in by corporations and were making so money just to make money. There was also a sort of a cynical reaction to these films, that they don't really mean anything. They're not about the heroic characters represent themes that are human and universal and hopeful and about doing good and being good, right? Thematic. We felt like they weren't
Right.
thematic anymore. They were just cash grabs, as people were calling them. Whilst if we look at those three films, Thunderbolts was very clearly about a theme that people connected with, which is about loneliness and about mental health and about not being alone in your struggle. And everybody connected with that, whether it's a superhero movie or not. Same thing with Superman, about being hopeful, about doing good no matter what, being on the right side of things. uh, Amazing, people connected with that emotionally. Then also you have Fantastic Four, and it's about family and connection between, and being there for members of your family, about community coming together and loving each other and taking care of each other. All themes, that's the point. That's why we love superhero comics and cartoons when we were kids. It's not because they have superpowers and they can do really cool action sequences. That is true, but laced with it is very important life messages and themes and things that are human to us that we connect with. And that was also lost in the era where we were being overflooded with cash grabs. We also became cynical about that.
Okay. Now, William, I want to ask you this question, which everyone has answered, but at the same time, I want to start my next section with you. Can you hear
Come.
me?
Wait. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, mashallah, mashallah.
Razan!
Hello.
Hello?
Razan!
Hello?
Cuteness
And
overload.
this is where your name comes from. This is the first Razan.
Mashallah, 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 mashallah. Okay,
So yeah,
William.
what's up, sir?
So, is superhero cinema in a better position than before?
Uh, I think it is. What I think superhero films are doing right now, Son of Jetta, is again, I think that it's a fresh start. I think that it's a fresh start. It has momentum. It's hopeful, and you know why it's in a better position overall?
Hmm.
Because the previous incarnation of superhero films, that was those things were watched by legacy people like us. I
Right.
think this new incarnation, and Raz, you could let me know if you're seeing the same thing. The, this new Fantastic Four and this new, it's okay, Darshini, this new Fantastic Four and this new Superman, young people are coming to see these,
Yeah.
right? So what happened was at the first round of MCU for the first 10 years in the Zack Snyder films, it was all of us that grew up with the stuff that was
Right.
coming in and talking about it. But now with Superman 2025 and this new Fantastic Four, I'm seeing young people, which is what I like. I'm seeing 10-year-olds. I'm seeing 15-year-olds. I'm seeing people who's going to grow up with the stuff. So I'm very glad that we're in a place where Fantastic Four has a new audience. Because remember, for us as legacy fans, the Fantastic Four films that were put out during our quote unquote peak heyday, it didn't connect with the newer generation, right? And
Right.
so now this current Fantastic Four, it connects with the new generation, right? Superman 2025, you know, your Gen Zs, your Gen Alphas or whatever, it's connecting with them. So I think it's in a great place and it'll only gain momentum from here.
Okay. Now, William, and every other guest of mine, esteemed guest of mine, I'm going to ask you guys point blank. Don't hold anything back. William, you are a quintessential Superman fan, okay, and somebody who has read comics, collected action figures, watched the cartoons. You were growing up in Truth, Justice, and the American Way era of Superman, the John Byrne era of Superman, and also you are a lifelong Marvel fan. So, if I have to ask you, which movie won the super fantastic summer? Was it Superman or was it the Fantastic Four?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Oh, that's a tough one.
Can I come in?
Please,
Can you-
Razan, join in.
yes,
The correct answer, we won.
Yeah,
The fans.
exactly.
correct.
We
Exactly.
won.
Exactly.
That's it.
This is correct. Correct.
Good
Correct.
one. Good one.
Correct. I mean, because again, they both, like I said, they both were
I'm
amazing.
gonna toast that.
Yeah, like I said, they both were amazing. And all I could do is reiterate my last point is that, you know, again, I'm an old fuddy duddy. My time has come. My time has come and gone. And I like the fact that the torch of storytelling and people receiving and interpreting these stories has been passed on, right? And so, again, right, I'm the old man now in the back of the comic book store, right? You know, I could stand there in my double knit pants and my button up shirt and say, in my day, the Hulk was like this, right? But, you know, I'm very, I'm serious. I can't be happy enough for this new generation, right? That they, again, that they have a voice. And like what Raz said, when you look at Thunderbolts, how it addressed loneliness and mental illness, these are the subjects of today. So when you and I was growing up, it was about the Cold War and European dictators and, you know, all of this stuff. But something substantive that speaks to what young people are seeing today. And also, too, we have to understand that the filmmaking has changed, that it's more evolved because social media has changed the way people take information, right?
Mhm.
Right.
You know, one of my film mentors, Ehab Abassi, said, William, Kevin Feige changed everything with end credit scenes and all of this stuff. And so he was like, William, we're living in social media. Kevin Feige has changed the way that people ingested information. So he said, William, remember when you were young, you could sit through Blade Runner. Today's audience cannot do that. It is a completely different time. And so for me, I'm all for it. right? I'm not one of those old legacy fans that are out here to destroy the happiness of young people and for those who enjoy it. And again, all of this stuff is a multiverse, and fandom is a spectrum, right?
Mhm.
And so again, whether it's my beloved Snyderverse or whether it's the Gunverse, right? I can't wait to have 10 years of whatever James Gunn is going to do. And I will say this, I want Alec Richardson to be the Batman, and I want Midnight Blue and Gray. That's I'm done.
Okay. Ahil, what do you want to say before I go to Raz?
I think this has been one of the best parts of the year, the Marvel and DC rivalry, which we have never had before. To think about it, Gunn launches Superman in July, and Marvel counters it Fantastic Four just weeks later. There's been a cultural conversation like which one would win the box office, which one had the stronger story. But for once, if you think about it from comic book fans, this does not matter. What we
Yep.
got was balance, and both delivered in different ways. So Superman gave us sincerity, a return to the idea that superheroes should inspire and it should be like comic books again. Fantastic Four gave us the charm, the whole family concept of it, and the sense that Marvel is, trying to build something new again, just like when they did in Phase One, which was all hits. And together
Right.
they remind us that rivalry can be healthy. You don't have to really like pick a side. What really gave me hope was that this pushed studios to innovate and to take risks and to actually care about what audiences want. And
Well
for
said.
once, it wasn't about who crushed the competition. It was always about. It's not about like both brand proving like why they still matter, and that itself is just summer 2025 feeling like an event and not just a release schedule for me.
Yeah,
Razan.
100%.
Razan.
I think I mean, I said it. We won, the audience. We won. We
Yes.
got two really good films. Thank you very much. We don't need more than that. And I think again the concept of Marvel versus DC, when it was, back in the day when we were kids, it was never intense or malicious. It was just for fun. Like, what do you prefer? Like, I always preferred Marvel comics. It's just that doesn't mean I think they are better. I just, like William said, we all have different life experiences, and these
Yes.
particular group of characters or this style of storytelling speaks to me and how I grew up versus other people. But it's always a preference rather than a choice. It shouldn't be a choice. It shouldn't be yes to Marvel, no to DC, or yes to DC, no to Marvel, because all of them are the same thing. They come from the same place. They come from the world of comics and the superhero characters and the mythologies of them. And if you love that, then you're supposed to love both. If you say no to DC, then you're saying to the core no to the core thing that created Marvel, and vice versa. So it doesn't make sense to hate or dismiss or
Yeah,
boycott
they live off
either
each other
or.
basically.
They're all coming from the same place. So if you're against it, if you're against one of them, you're against all of them. That then you're not a fan. And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of the online social media rhetoric around 2016, 2015, a lot of people came in, honestly, the loudest voices that were anti-DC or the loudest voices that were anti-Marvel. I genuinely, and that's an opinion, I don't think these people are comic book fans. They're just, people who want to engage in negative conversations versus these kind of films. I think they're not superhero fans.
I think I'm quite frustrated with all the negative chatter that we are experiencing right now on social media because,
I think it's better now though, but I think it's better now. Like, when I'll tell you the example, when BVS came out, it was around the same time that Captain America Civil War came
Civil
out.
War came out.
Okay, and those two films were being compared because they had sort of a team up type of thing, right? And the conversation back then, I remember, was you had to make a choice. You had to either be a defender of Civil War while simultaneously being very negative towards BVS,
I didn't.
or I'm saying most, not us, or be super pro Civil War and be against BVS or whatever. But that's the thing, and it was all very negative. And the competition, Marvel versus DC, was a choice rather than friendly competition, and that's
yeah.
bad because that's the thing. The DC movies not doing well, right, towards the end.
Mhm.
These films and Justice League and all that stuff, when they started not doing well financially, also hurt the Marvel films because it hurt the superhero genre. They're the same genre. The mass audience, because we have to remember, we are not mass audience. We are not the majority. We are the minority. We're a bunch of nerds. minority. Like, we're not the people who make up the 1 billion and 2 billion box office hits, right? This has to include your cousin who doesn't know what, or your auntie, or people who don't know any of this. They don't know that Superman is DC or Marvel. It's all superhero. What superhero, which company, which comic origin, they don't know this, right? So if a DC movie is bad, to them it's a superhero movies are now bad. I'm not going to watch superhero movies. So they stopped watching Marvel films. So Marvel's box office declined as well. So if you're
So
rooting for one of them to fail, down the line both of them will fail. So in this scenario, I genuinely think that the general, there will always be trolls and there will always be negative talk, but I really feel that for us the general sentiment has changed of Marvel versus DC. It's now a lot more friendlier and healthier, in a healthy competition, in a way that I prefer this and I prefer that, versus what it was 10 years ago, which was sort of destructive for both. So I think that's very
yes,
Yeah,
important, and I think
and
it's
that's
different now.
yeah, and that's because the older generation, like I said again, right there putting up. Because I lived through these wars, Razan. I
Me
was there
too.
for Atari versus Coleco, Nintendo versus Sega, Super Nintendo versus Genesis, right? And so
PlayStation versus
human
Xbox.
beings,
PlayStation versus Xbox.
Yeah.
yes, human beings cannot have two. Correct. Human beings cannot have two cool things at once. And so the fact that I walked out of Civil War and went right into BVS was a dream. Because again, I'm old, right? You guys are young and fresh. But for us, this was a fantasy when I was in the early '80s, right? If you would have told me that in my lifetime I would have saw a parademon on film or Spider-Man on the back of a unicorn with Valkyrie fighting Thanos on the big screen, I would have punched you in the face and called you a liar. Right. And so for me, so for me, all of this stuff is really like, again, to Raz's point, it's a dream come true. And I think that the younger generations, unlike us, Raz and Son of Jeddah, is that they can have two cool things at once. We, for whatever reason, right? We were still making fire with Flintstones and dancing with our tribal face paint, right? So for us, one way or another, we found a competition. Yeah, we found a competition with everything in our generation. And Son of Jedi, I know you guys saw it too. Again, when you get Nintendo versus Sega Master System, Sega Master System was an arcade experience. Nintendo was family entertainment. Two different things, but for whatever reason, people still found a way to make it a war.
I guess that's like basic human nature, that we find ways to create conflict. But I'm really glad with the kind of messaging that has come out from all of the panelists, and I loved the response from Raz when she said that between the two, Superman and Fantastic Four, who won? Yes, it was us fans, because we were getting uh, one
Yes.
disappointment after another since the end game era ended. And I think that is something that has really been a sigh of relief. So, okay, we are now reaching our final session, or final segment of our live broadcast. Uh, if I have to ask you guys that, Iron Man 2008 kickstarted a decade or more for a cinematic universe. With James Gunn on the other side, in Hollywood, are we going to see something similar, or are we going to see something better and long lasting? I'll start with Razan.
Um, it cannot be similar because it's not the first. There will always be the novelty of the first time something happens. Even
Right,
though Iron Man was not the first superhero movie ever, but it was really the first in a sort of a mega shared serialized universe. Nothing
right,
has been done like this in cinema before. We've had trilogies, we've had films that are, sequels that continue on. You might get like a sequel here or prequel there, like Alien franchise. Like, we've had that kind of, but we've never had something similar to a TV series, a serialized shared universe where you have different films for different characters, all part of one story. This is something that was new at the time. And now it can never happen again for the first time, you know? You can only happen anything can happen first time only one time, you know?
Right.
So that's the thing. So it will not be the same, all right? But it is that at the same time, like I said, the cool thing about Superman is that it felt like a start of something. Okay. And the cool thing about having a creative in charge, like William said, of having somebody like Gunn in charge, who's a filmmaker and a creative and somebody with vision and imagination, that means we know that this is going somewhere with longevity. This guy has a plan. This is going somewhere. And you can tell watching the film, you can tell that we're being dropped in the middle of something that is part of something bigger, and it's gonna continue, you know. So I have very high hopes because there's been whoever tells you fatigue schmatigue, there's been superhero content since the Greek mythologies. Okay,
Correct.
since we were in togas, we loved this kind of storytelling. The hero's journey has been retold a bajillion times, and it will still be retold another bajillion times. It's never gonna end. What wins at the end of the day? There's one thing: a good movie will win somehow. If you make a good movie, it might win the box office, maybe not. It might win the hearts and minds of people. You have films like Fight Club was a box office bomb, slammed by the critics. We all wear Fight Club t-shirts now and quote Fight Club. It won, but it won in a way maybe not what we expected. But a good film wins in the end. That's it. So all they need to do is make good films.
Okay, I wanna bring back Son of Sparta because he's having connectivity issues. So I'll take his
Let's
opinion.
catch him while we have him.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Son of Sparta, can you hear us?
I hear you guys. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, just rotate your camera.
Oh, sorry, thought my camera would adjust, but not today.
Yeah, no, just
There we
rotate
go.
the phone. Yeah. Okay, Son of Sparta. Here's the thing. I mean, like, I asked this question to all the esteemed guests that are with what is now happening, because we now have healthy competition in the form of DCU headed by James Gunn and Peter Safran. So, is superhero cinema going to see something similar to what we saw back in 2008 with Iron Man, or is it going to be something better?
You were breaking up a lot, and I heard half of that, but I'm trying to improvise.
Oh,
So here's the thing. Before 2008, and you guys let me know if I'm breaking up as well.
you're clear.
Before 2008, Iron Man was a household, right? Oh,
Mhm.
you guys with me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
we're with you. We're with you.
I think maybe turn off your camera. You'd have better bandwidth.
Okay, for some reason everything's frozen.
Yeah, just turn off your camera then. And
Ah,
we
we
lost him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Ahil, I'd like you to share your pearls of wisdom.
Sure. So, when people ask whether James Gunn's DC will end up being similar to the MCU, he has said something similar along the lines. But he has said that it won't usually chase the MCU formula, but it'll more be like Star Wars, a universe where stories, tones, and characters can exist side by side, connected, and
Mhm.
not forced into this one, big giant puzzle. And you can already see that approach with Superman. It's very self-contained, and it does not tease a future project. It's very optimistic, and it's basically like a comic book, because you have Green Lantern popping up, you have Hawkgirl popping up, which really confuses the general audience, but that's exactly how a comic book has been like. And it
Right,
also leaves rooms for other stories that can be radically different in style or focus. We've had the Creature Commandos, which is I recommend that show by heart. Basically, that's a very good show.
very good.
And yeah, and so that's the you have Clayface coming up, which is a very horror centric, and you also have the DC Elseworld. So while they're not maybe some connective tissue and shared characters, the aim is not to replicate the MCU's tightly interwoven event-driven model. You can have individual storytelling, which is the main objective is to have good movies, and that's where Gunn comes in, and he has never missed so far. And he seems more interested in building a universe that gives creators the freedom to tell unique stories all under the same broad universe, much like what George Lucas did with Star Wars.
Okay. Son of Sparta, can you hear us and can you share your thoughts on
Yes,
this?
I absolutely. We're going to be unanimous. I apologize about that, guys. It was a to be continued moment, but I'm back now. Hopefully,
Yeah,
this works. So, like I was saying, before 2008, not a whole lot of people knew about Iron Man, right? Tony Stark was not a household name.
right,
You mentioned it, people. I bet you 100%. If we were to go back in time and ask anyone, any Joe off the street, who is Iron Man? They'll be like, who? Who? What are you talking about?
right.
Opposed to now where it's a household name because it was a good movie, right? From the beginning to end, we were engaged with it. We cheered for him. We couldn't wait to see what happens next with him and this universe and the team it was building, right? It could only get bigger and bigger as it went along. And I feel like we're at a point where they finally know what they want to do moving forward. Uh, I won't say the sole reason they acquired Fox was to get the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom and all that, but it was among many. They wanted to expand the universe some more.
Right.
And you can only pay these actors so much because until recently, it was reported that Robert Downey Jr. is the highest paid actor in Hollywood. And I feel like maybe we've got to a point where they can't pay him anymore. Because I think at one point, what was it? You guys tell me if this is right. I think he was getting 50 mil per movie,
Yep.
and
It's 100 million now.
that was an insane number.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go. So, and since you have so many big names now, I don't know the full list of who's going to be in Doomsday, but let's assume they got most of the people back, right? Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, those guys are going to be pretty pricey. So, I'm assuming this might be their last hurrah after Secret Wars. Again, they're talking about doing a soft reboot. We'll see if that pans out or not. But for the first time, I feel like they have a plan. For the first time in a long time, I'm going to say they have a plan, and we look forward to seeing what that plan is. Next year, we've got Supergirl, we've got Spider-Man, Brand New Day, we've got Doomsday. So much to look forward to, right? I
right.
can't tell you the last time I was this giddy, just waiting for next year to come so we can get our costumes or cosplay or T-shirts and just walk in together and see what they have in store for us.
Amazing, man. And I'll leave the last word to William, the quintessential comic book scholar. William, what do you have to say? Because you have a deeper understanding of comics along with your knowledge when it comes to the cinematic universes.
Again, I'm excited. Like I said, again, like even if you look at my beloved Snyderverse, Zack Snyder said his DCEU was 5 films: Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League 1 through 3 with a couple of spinoffs, and he was gone. And he said the big bad of his universe wasn't even Darkseid; it's the Reverse Flash. So he designed it to reboot, you know. Anyway, and so for me, it goes back to the conversation you and I had years ago when I said all I want is WB to back James Gunn. Trust, trust the artist. Stick to the dang vision. He's off to a good start. There are a lot of people that are excited about this, right? This is something much bigger than William and what William likes or whatever. People are excited, and I would love to have 10 years of physical media of this content and to go back and enjoy. And so for
Okay.
me, yeah,
Sorry, just allow me to interject, William. Uh, this is the past and the now that you have touched upon. But in terms of your knowledge and experience, what do you see for the future? As I had asked
yeah,
at
but yeah,
guest,
and that's what I'm saying, and that's
yeah,
what I'm trying to say. And what I'm saying is that I see a whole new generation of fans, right? That's going to come to this content and that's going to keep these stories and legacies alive for another few generations. That's what I see. I'm excited about it. I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad that it's happening. And James Gunn and this new audience of Z Alpha and whatever else is out there, they have my support. And if they want to argue with the old man in the back of a comic book shop, I am willing and ready.
Okay, one specific question to which I need a very specific answer.
Yes.
That we now are witnessing a healthy competition between DC and Marvel. Uh, is it going to be something similar to what Iron Man did in 2008, or is it going to be something better? I asked everyone. I want to hear your thought on this, William.
No, no. First of all, Iron Man was something that was completely new, right?
Right.
Nobody knew who Tony Stark was. Superman has super. Do you know how big Superman's fan base is? That's why it's so. That's why it's so divisive, right? Smallville, Lois and Clark, comic books, Christopher Reeve. When Superman Returns came out, one of my close family friends, when the trailer came on TV, his mother, who was our age at the time, said, "Is that Christopher Reeve?" We were like, "No, it's a Brandon Routh." And she said, "Christopher Reeve is Superman. If he ain't in it, I'm not going." Right? You know what I'm saying? She said that. She said that. Now think about it. If you got middle-aged black women in Brooklyn, New York saying that in 2006, right?
Right.
And so now here's the thing. In the future, Disney is going to have a heavy lift because God bless whoever puts on the red and gold after Robert Downey Jr. God bless whoever picks up that shield after, you know what I'm saying, after the current Steve Rogers Captain America. So Marvel had the benefit of being new. Nobody had, the mainstream audience had never seen it before. But within the context of the United States of America, everybody knows what DC is. They know what the Green Lantern is. They know that. And so they came with expectations. When the MCU started, there were no expectations. And people were pleasantly surprised, right? And so, like I said, and so now with this James Gunn, people are still divisive. But guess what? There's a new generation that's now coming into it. And that new generation is going to carry it. And for that new generation, and I'm specifically getting to your question. So for that new generation, some people have had their Iron Man moment with the Superman film. But as for us old fuddy-duddies and everything else, 2008 Iron Man was a moment in time, a flash in the pan. It, like I said, it has come and gone, and each one is its own different thing with its own different moment.
With that, our live broadcast for the month of August comes to an end. I am extremely grateful to Razan Tagash of Raz Reviews, Ahil Fagi of Itsy Reviews, William Ruffin, who is himself a scholar when it comes to the world of comics and movies, son of Sparta, William
I
is
will
shown
be
of
gifting this to the
Marvel's
son of Jeddah the
Omnibus.
next time I'm in Saudi Arabia. This is your book along with Punisher Max 1 and 2. The
God
next
bless
time
you,
in
man.
Saudi, hardcover. So this, I'm giving it to you. This is Alex Ross and this is Alex Ross and Kurt Busiek, right? And their, like I said, and their artwork. So this I will be giving to you the next time I'm in Jeddah.
William, God bless you, my brother. God bless you, because the last time you gifted me the adamantium collection, which is like the most precious thing for me, and what you have just shown right now and shared, God bless you big time, brother. God bless you big time.
Go.
Okay. And I want to thank Ahil Faki and son of Sparta, William, Razan, once again. I mean, thank you to each and every one of you. You made this live broadcast amazing. And to my audience, to our audience out there, we'll be back with another episode, with another live broadcast in September. So thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them. And we're signing out now.
No. Right.
Take care, guys.
Take care, man. It's been a pleasure.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Excelsior.
Magneto.